I'd like to call to order this regular council meeting of the town of Saugeen Shores. First order of business is the declaration of pecuniary interest. And if you have any, you can do it now or none. We have no additions or deletions. The next item are adoption of minutes, and it's been moved by Councillor Rich and seconded by Deputy Mayor Charbonneau that council adopt the minutes of the council meeting of August 24th, 2015 as presented. Any errors or omissions? All in favour? That's carried. Next is Committee of the Whole minutes, and it's been moved by Councillor Minaj and seconded by Vice Deputy Mayor Huber that council note and file the Committee of the Whole minutes of August 24th, 2015. Any errors or omissions? Emissions? Hopefully not. Sorry, go ahead.
At some point, there was an interaction, verbal interaction with delegation, and I raised a question and a discussion point that's not noted. So talk about finite detail. Is it okay to everything's not noted, or should it be noted that a councillor did ask a question?
If it was in order, if you asked a question on procedure, it should be noted. If it was a question, then no, the minutes are not recorded verbatim.
Councillor Dave Mayette.
When I referred to my notes regarding the Committee of the Whole from August 24th, I noted in the Pumpkin Fest report by Brad Scott and Pierre Donini that the new attractions for the year were a petting zoo, Tim the Puppet Tamer, and a photography contest. I don't recall the Aunt Mabel's straw bale maze, but it's included in the minutes. You did? Okay. Oh, it's bigger. I wrote down only the new.
Any further questions? Councillor Minaj.
I guess so I do. I'd like to go back to Linda's response to me, Mr. Mayor, and I wonder at some point when a member of the public continues to come forward on a repeat basis and say that there are no interactions with him, that nobody ever, we stand or we sit quiet and we just listen to him speak and nobody ever says anything to him, and that if we don't document the fact that that's not completely true, where do we end up 2, 3, 4 years from now? Does it matter? Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? All in favor then? That's carried. So the next item on the agenda is a general government report, August the 24th, 2015, and it's been moved by Councillor Madison, seconded by Councillor Mike Myatt, that Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores adopts the general government report dated August 24th, 2015, recommending the following. That the table attached to the CAO's report dated August 24th, 2015, outlining additional information related to the implementation of Council's project priorities for the 2014-2018 term be received. That Council identifies any key projects for which further emphasis is required to occur in the short term. And 2, that staff be authorized to work with county and ministry staff to effect a transition of the responsibility for the programs and operation of the Saugeen Shores Business Enterprise Center to the County of Bruce effective April the 1st, 2016. Comments, questions? Councillor Grace.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question about number 2. I realize that was the wording that was used in the Committee of the Whole report that Council voted to approve that recommendation. Since then, this topic was discussed at the Economic Development Committee meeting on September 1st, and there was concern that I also share now about moving forward. My concern with the wording of this is that it's too definitive in terms of affecting a transition. Sort of, I guess for me, implies that it's a fait accompli, that this is going to be happening. What I would rather see is that what we approve of is wording that staff examines and reports to council on the costs and benefit of such a transition. And so that's my concern, and for that reason I would have to, if such a change is not made, I couldn't approve or vote for this.
I think, and you can speak to this, Larry, I think that's really, and perhaps maybe the wording is that way, but that is certainly the intent, that any decision to do anything with this will come back to this table for further approval. So, I mean, what we're really, I think, in my mind, the way I understand and believe it will happen, the negotiation is going to take place between our Saugeen Shores and the county to come up with, or maybe not, but they may come up with a position to say this is what we can bring back and ask for approval here. But staff do not have the authority to transition this entity to the county without approval of both county council and this council.
So I guess what I want to assure happens is that we receive information which is not just for council but for the Economic Development Committee, which is really concerned about this in terms of being able to explore the costs and benefits of such a transaction. That was my concern. I just thought the wording made it sound like this was going to happen. Thank you.
Any further questions? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. The next item is a Planning and Development Report, and it's been moved by Councillor Don Matheson and Matheson and Councillor Mike Myatt. The Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores adopts the Planning and Development Report dated August 24th, 2015, recommending that Council adopts the Downtown Southampton Commercial Facade Improvement Guidelines. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. The next item is a report of municipal officers, and it's the report of the Heritage Committee and the TULIP program, and it's been moved by Vice Deputy Mayor Huber and seconded by Councillor Minaj. The Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores adopts the Municipal Heritage Committee's report dated September the 9th, 2015, approving the application to the 70th anniversary Dutch-Canadian Friendship Tulip Garden Program for 700 tulip bulbs, and further that a proposed garden site be explored at the intersection of Victoria and High Street adjacent to the Southampton United Church. Comments, questions? Vice Deputy Mayor Huber.
Thank you. I'll just add the proposed site. We don't know if we're going to be selected. There's 140 communities across Canada. This is a special program through the Garden Council of Canada, actually. And anyway, it would be part of the reconstruction of the sidewalk between High Street and Jubilee Park. So, you know, in the event that we're successful, Stuart has been willing to imagine something there. So, but more important than the actual application for the tulips, I appreciate Linda's willingness to let us tack on to the bottom of the report a comment about the role that the Dominion Plywood factory in Southampton played in the Second World War. And there were component parts for two of the training airplanes that Commonwealth pilots from all around the Commonwealth were trained here in Canada. And component parts for the Anson and the Tiger Moth airplanes were built in Southampton. And then when the de Havilland airplane company started to build Mosquito bombers, there were very important component parts that were, again, built at the Dominion Plywood factory in Southampton. And Linda, again, was gracious enough to let us tack on to the bottom of the report a couple of other comments. I unfortunately couldn't find a picture that actually had a real close-up of the door frame or a window frame so you could see the Southampton component. But I think that it's just important for the Heritage Committee to be recognized now as trying very diligently to come up with ways to engage the community in remembering and celebrating some heritage aspects of the community. And so I hope you'll appreciate what we're going to try to do over the next little while. And you'll see some other stuff. We've started to explore some really cool trees. For example, along this military theme, if you know the Uhrig brothers in Southampton, there's an incredible tree in their backyard that was a tree that grew from tree seedlings that were given to every kid or to commemorate all of the soldiers in the Second World War. So a tree was planted for each one of them, the soldiers who came from Southampton. A tree was planted for each one of those soldiers throughout Southampton. One of those trees is behind the Uhrig brothers' house, and it's just incredible. So we're hoping to tell those stories over the next little while. So in the event that we're successful with some tulips, if you know tulip planting, the squirrels will spread them all over Southampton, which would be a nice bonus. But more significant than that, thank you for just reading a little bit about a pretty cool thing that came out of one of the factories in Southampton. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Any further questions or comments? All in favor then? That's carried. Next item, there is a notice of motion there on encroachments, and we will deal with that at our next regular meeting. So the next on the agenda is bylaws. And the first one is an agreement with the Ministry of Transportation, and it's been moved by Councillor Mike Myatt and seconded by Councillor Madison. The bylaw 75-2015, being a bylaw to authorize an agreement with Owen Sound Highway Maintenance Limited, is hereby read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed and sealed this 14th day of September 2015. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Authorizing a bylaw to authorize the acquisition of lane widening from Edith McGuire. And it's been moved by Deputy Mayor Charbonneau, seconded by Councillor Rich, that bylaw 76-2015. Being a bylaw to authorize the acquisition of land is hereby read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed and sealed this 14th day of September 2015. Questions or comments? Vice Deputy Mayor Huber.
Thank you. I'm just curious to know, it's a little sliver of land here in the middle of basically the block along a very narrow lane. Do we actually own the same little sliver of land on every other lot along that lane?
Not yet.
Okay. Because my question then becomes, it seems like I've heard this from a number of developers that sometimes these dedications or these transfer of lands make sense, but I was just curious if what the point of this was. And I do understand, but I guess I'll just ask that question. Why is this tiny little sliver of land important to us?
Over the long term, there's an increased requirement for separation of underground services that might have existed previously, and this would certainly help us with implementing the off-street pedestrian connections that we've longed to do in Southampton.
Further questions? All in favor then? Opposed, if any? That is carried. And the next item on the agenda is the confirmatory bylaw, and it's been moved by Councillor Rich, seconded by Deputy Mayor Charbonneau, that bylaw 77-2015, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores, is hereby read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed and sealed this 14th day of September 2015. All in favor? That's carried. And it's a motion moved by Councillor Minaj, seconded by Councillor Grace, that this regular council meeting of September the 14th, 2015, hereby adjourn at 8:27 p.m. All in favor? Or adjourn. Thank you.